the more I read the script, the more I had these little voices in my head, like whispering what I should do in this moment or in the other one. And I just kept doing that, and I just kept doing that. And I think that slowly, by the time I got to the Dominican Republic to shoot the movie, I was already the role, and then I was just a dancer ready to dance on the dance floor that this guy built for me.
We have to start at the beginning. I think I'm curious, where does the seedling of an idea of turning this, as we saw at the end, like this real life story, where does the idea come from to make that into this film?
I think Tyler and I are really drawn toward things that we haven't really seen in movies before. Our first movie, Peanut Butter Falcon, we did for our friend Zach that has Down syndrome, and we hadn't really seen a lead character with Down syndrome star in a movie before. And he asked us to write that movie for him. And then about 8 years ago, Tyler and I were just talking to some of our Cuban friends about this story. And we're like, that's crazy. And they're like, yeah, let's make it a movie. So for us, it was about like waiting to find the right group of people to do it with. So we went to Lord and Miller. Phil Lord, who did like the Spider-Verse movies and the Lego movies, is Cuban American. And then he brought in Rebecca and Hector, and then we were able to cast 25 actors out of Cuba and Adri Arjona, and it just became like the perfect group to be able to tell the story.
Tyler, you want to talk a little bit about the writing process, about turning this idea, but actually shaping it into the story that we see on screen?
Oh, God.
Very simple questions at the beginning.
I know, it's such a simple question, but it's like the writing process. Any writers here? That's a hard It's a hard process. So it's a lot of procrastination and staring at a blank screen and being, this shit's going to be so good, I know it. Mike and I, we would wake up every morning at like 6 a.m. We kind of get the, I'm trying to think of, I don't know. It's such a complex Mike, how do we write this?
Yeah, no, we generally like go on big walks and talk about story. And like for months and months before we even start writing, we talk about story. And then we sort of attack like sort of 5 scenes at a time. And so in this process where we're learning the stories, a lot of research, a lot of interviewing people in Cuba, a lot of listening to every podcast, watching every short documentary, like the little details of like, was there skateboarding in Cuba at this time? How did people tattoo? And it was like, okay, they take a Walkman motor and then do stick and poke sort of like with these vibration from the motor. So there's like a ton of research.
Yeah, I'll also say more importantly, the rewriting process. So we had our beats and we knew what we want, you have your beats, but we brought in these guys and, it was great to have authentic people there. I don't know if that was a sneeze, God bless you, but it's not, it's a cough. To have authentic, authentic Cubans there to tell us, like, we had, strawberries in the script, and they were like, no, there's guava, there's no strawberry. So we really would look at it like we just built a dance floor, and we were like, look, the scenes are 3 pages long, try to do it in 3 minutes, and we're not script perfect. We know that this is something you've lived, and we really want you to give it the breath of your life. So it's really nice to allow these guys to kind of come in. I mean, Hector helped us rewrite it for quite a few months and would call us out and be like, that's dumb, that never happens, and fix it here. And really made it, in my opinion, feel quite authentic because we got to work with all these guys.
Hector, can you name all the things that they got wrong at the beginning? No, but tell us how you got involved in the project.
Well, they just called me and I wrote the script, and it was an amazing script. I was so excited about that. I was like, I want to be there, but I have to do the casting. But it was an amazing story, and truly a story about my country. And I was excited. I was like, how two gringos can make a real story about my country like that. It surprised me.
I'll also say about Hector, so he was real slow burn. He helped us with the script for months and months, and as you can tell, like, he's polite, he's sort of soft-spoken, and then he was like, I want to be Paco. And we were like, good luck,
I was like, no. I was like, no way, dude. No.
And then we're like, okay, that end scene where he's crying and like relieved, and maybe his brother thinks he's mad. Like, just self-tape that. And he sent us this end scene, just like you saw in the movie, with like tears and snot and everything. We're like, I guess that's our Paco.
Rebecca, can you talk a little bit, because it sounds like you and Hector, like in the beginning of the process, what did the project need to sort of flourish and bloom?
I think that it's, Phil is Cuban American, and the script was already really well written. And so, like we're saying, we wanted to bring as much authenticity to the project as possible, having all of Phil's cousins and cousins of cousins and friends of friends and everybody read the script and help give us notes and call out facts. So, like what is there, what isn't there. And that's kind of how we found Hector as well. So we sent the script to him. But I think that it's the authenticity factor of just call us on our bullshit. Like, help us make it as you can. And then I think through the casting process, you let these characters bring so much more to the script.
So Eros, I think that brings us to you.
I was waiting for my question.
I know. I wanted to give you an interest. I wanted people to sort of wait, because you're the discovery in the film. Can you talk to us a little bit about how you came into this project?
So I was randomly living my life in Cuba when a friend of mine told me that they were auditioning for a Dominican Republican movie, and I was like, hell no, I don't want to be a part of that. And when I was recording him, his audition, he was like, dude, you're recording me, so you might as well just like send a tape. And I was like, cool, yeah, sure. And I sent that tape, and then the lady called me back, and they were like, hey, they wanna audition you for the lead. And I was freaking out. And after that, I did the audition. 5 days later, they called me back, and I was the happiest guy in the whole country, for real. You have no idea. Every single guy in Cuba just wanted to be involved in this. And when they give me the call back, dude, was I happy. That was...
I kind of love that you went from hell no.
No,
I was like, you were like, no, I don't want to do that bullshit. And then all of a sudden, you're like...
we weren't that informed. And because the Cuban people weren't supposed to know that this was the topic of the movie.
We're not allowed to...
We're not allowed to do that in Cuba. So it's like, you go to jail. And basically, when I heard that it was a Dominican Republican movie, that's not the kind of movie that I want to be in. Like, that's not a good picture for me at the moment. And I was like, no, I'm just not auditioning. And then these guys changed my life. All of them.
I want to talk a little bit about the elephant in the room, because we're talking in English, and Eros, you're speaking in English, but the entire movie is set, like, it's in Spanish. It sounds, for those of us who have an ear, we know that other than Alia, everyone is Cuban and they're speaking Cuban. Can we talk about the language barrier and how that sort of added, and the sense of wanting to be authentic?
I mean, I'll say, like, I'm very into the sound of movies, maybe even more than the picture. And sometimes when I watch Cuban movies or different Spanish language movies, and you have like somebody from Argentina and somebody from Mexico and somebody, then they're all like brothers and sisters. It sounds crazy to me. So in addition to like wanting to bring on the right people to tell this story to help us tell it better, I just wanted the accents to be right. So even Adria got like accent coaching. And then we learned Spanish to make the movie. That was one of the good things about the pandemic, is we went method directing and just studied Spanish. And I learned it sort of first on the internet, like Duolingo, and then we got a tutor from Venezuela. And then by the time we got to the Dominican Republic, like Eros didn't speak a word of English when we shot this movie, so he's learned English very quickly. But they all made fun of me and said I sounded Puerto Rican, like, which for Cubans, I guess, is not cool. And then by the end of the movie, they said at least I sounded Mexican, which was a little bit cooler.
And I think like something really great about like the accents too, like as you were saying, like Adria, she had a dialect coach for 2 sessions maybe, but then when she got to the Dominican and she was with all of our cast, she was like, I have the best teachers around me. And the cast became such a big family, helping everybody out in everything. And like Hector and Adria, like mentoring a lot of these young actors who it's their first film and all over the place. So she was like, I have the best. I don't need to have another teacher. I have the best teachers around me.
Also, I just want to say this because I don't think they will say it, but these guys, is it working? Now it's working. These guys were just masters. Like Tyler and Mike, they somehow got to communicate with us at an energetic level. They was just like energy benders, and all the time you just felt exactly what they wanted to say to you, even without the need to speak in Spanish. I just want to say that because that's the movie. It's an energy, and it's a feeling, and they were giving that to me, to Hector, and to the whole casting all the time.
I like that he called us masters because Eros had never seen a movie in a movie theater before. He saw this movie in a movie theater in Miami. We took him to show. We were like, "Oh, we're going to show you the movie," and we brought him in a movie theater like a quarter of the size. He was like, "It's a real movie theater." I'm like, "Yeah, haven't you been in one?" And he was like, "Never." Never been in a movie theater. And I like that you think we're masters. I've never like seen one movie in a movie theater.
Energy masters.
Thank you. Oh, that's a good name. Master of energy. Thank you.
I like this talk about energy because I wanted to talk to both to Eros and Hector about these characters. I think maybe we start with Paco, who's very, I think energetic might be a sort of a downplaying sort of. And as we see you here
we
sitting
told him.
down, you're very quiet, but Paco is not quiet, and Paco is not. Where did you find Paco? Where did he come from?
Thank you. See. They made it. They made Paco, and then Mike and Tyler helped me to build the character. We work a lot. I had to practice learn how to play electric guitar, lose weight, and work out a lot. And I remember Tyler all the time saying to me, I want to work, and that's it. We work a lot. We build the character, and I think there is two important things in the character is be hungry and anger all the time, and
So
we
you
made
starved
this.
yourself to be hungry and angry at the time.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
like being in Cuba, hungry and anger all the time.
On my time, oh, sorry. And in my case, I would say I don't think I really find the character. I like to see it in the way I like to see it like he found me, because the more I read the script, the more I had these little voices in my head like whispering what I should do in this moment or in the other one, and I just kept doing that, and I just kept doing that. And I think that slowly, by the time I got to the Dominican Republic to shoot the movie, I was already the role, and then I was just a dancer ready to dance in the, how do you say that? Like
On the dance floor.
on
yeah.
the dance floor that this guy built for me. And
We were like, just act like you're at prom.
and I think that's the way it happened. Then the connection with my brother, from the very first call, I just knew that it was gonna work. And with everyone else, I think they really put on the work to make us feel like we were the characters and created all the circumstances for us to like be in role, even when we weren't there shooting all the time. Like we were living in this hotel, we were roommates, all of us. That was the sanatorium right at that time. It was like, it just happened, you know? For us, as an actor, I experienced that as it's just happened, but really, they kind of like made it happen, and I'm very grateful for that.
We like to be vibe curators. I think that's
Yeah.
a better way to direct is like, we'll just play music while we're setting up, or I think it's important to just be a vibe curator, and then it usually translates into the scenes.
The relationships have like kept going too. Like these guys, when they're sitting together or anytime together, they are those brothers you see on screen constantly, like poking, and like it's just beautiful to watch.
I'm too
how
pretty
big
to
of
be
a
his brother.
family.
I'm Too pretty to be his brother.
I want to talk about building this figurative sort of dance floor, because we have this sanatorium and we're sort of in the outdoors. But I was reading a little bit about the attention to detail when it came to props and when it came to building those sets. Can we talk a little bit about what?
Yeah, this is the geek stuff. I love this stuff.
Yes.
So in Cuba in 1991, like, you wouldn't be able to get a Fender guitar. You wouldn't be able to get something from the United States through the embargo. So we got Japanese guitars from 1982. We got a Russian bass. We got Russian drums and all these things, and then like punked them up and painted them. And then the buildings, like, we had a crazy good crew, like production designer that came in and built the barn in a week, and he built the bungalows in another week. And there were things like very specific, the type of wood that was used for the bungalows, and then the DP would come in and be like, I want a little bit more space between, so there's more light leaking through and it looks cooler. They'd rip all the siding off and then put it back on. Like, the attention to detail that the crew did was so cool to watch, because it also happened really fast. It happened in like 4 or 5 weeks.
Can I speak about our DP as well? Our DP had never shot anything yet. Santiago Gonzalez, anybody know him? He'd never shot a movie before, and this is his first film, and I'm so proud of him. It was, he deserves a round of applause. Yes. We had gotten a lot of interest from people with very, shiny awards and, all the accolades, and I saw a picture of this guy hanging out of a car window, recording, like shooting another guy riding wheelies through Manhattan. And I was like, this DP wants, and I was like, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. This guy is like so much energy and just seemed like one of us, and wasn't gonna be like, oh, the light's not right, or like the nightmare DP stories you hear. And just sometimes you want to shoot cool stuff.
Yeah, a lot of vibe curation is, and the biggest part of directing, I think, is hiring the right people, and then trusting them to do what they do. And for us, it's a lot of like feeling out the energy, and like Santi really wanted to be there, and he wanted to learn, and he wanted to bring everything he could to it, and we didn't have a ton of money, and he wrote us this long letter about why it would be meaningful to him. And then actually just a couple weeks ago, the movie got invited to the Camera Maj Festival in Poland, which is like the biggest festival for cinematography in the world. So like he kind of freaked out. It's cool, but like down to like giving people chances. I think we find that like giving actors a chance, or like in our first movie, we gave Zach a chance. Like there's this feeling of I want to do my best work, and even from the people surrounding them, like I want to give them the best chance to succeed. So it's a big part of how Tyler and I like build our crew, is just bringing people up, because I think you only get to make your first or second movie like once or twice.
Or twice.
I'm not good at math. And like you feel that energy. And there's like when you've done 10 or 15 or 20, even if you won all the awards, like you might be more worried about your dinner reservation. And we were like, we want the people that's more worried about making the movie.
And we had also just gotten our shot too. It was like Peanut Butter Falcon was our first shot, so we were like, let's elevate everybody we possibly can. And then we started hiring people that had not done stuff before, and our other producers were like, okay, just chill out. You can hire some people, then some experienced people too. So that was
maybe as a final question, we can go. Maybe let's begin with Hector on the way here. What are you hoping? Because I feel like the movie ends on a kind of hopeful note, despite the bleakness. What do you hope audiences are taking away from Los Frikis?
And all we want is the people to see the movie. I think the most important thing in the movie for me as a Cuban is that it is a movie about family. It's about freedom, but it is about family. I mean, my brother in the movie is the hero because I want to make a meme of him, and he chose the right way, the love. He choose love. He choose family, stay with family, and that is the most important thing for me as a Cuban. I mean, we have been living in a dictatorship for more than 50 years, and the family is the victims in the politics, and even right now in this country, I mean, everything is about politics, and you have to choose friendship and family, and that is that is the freedom, love. There is always a way, the love. So that's what I hope we have.
Good. I think it's important to remember. Oh yeah, just. I'm done. I'm sorry. I think it's important to remember that this stuff is still happening. The special period didn't end in the 90s. People are still living. It's actually worse now. So it's immediate. This is still happening, and it's nice to have hope through things that are challenging. We all have our own mountains to climb and our own burdens to bear, but this is still going on. It's pretty wild.
I really, first, I want that for people to know that you have no idea how serious the condition of Cuba is, and it keeps getting worse and worse by the minute. But most importantly, I really would love people to take away the power of the human spirit, not just Cuban people, but the human spirit, and how, regardless of how bad the conditions are and how, fucked up everything is, how the human spirit just perseveres and finds a way to be happy and to be joyful and to create community, and regardless of wherever you find yourself. I think that's the movie for me. So that would be it.
It is like it's a heavy subject matter, but at the end of the day, it is, you see the film and it's full of love and joyfulness and laughter and hopefulness. And it is like, we always try to say, like the more specific something can be, the more universal it becomes. And so not only is this a Cuban story, it's also just a human story and about the perseverance of the human spirit.
I probably, I don't know, I would have said all of these things. All of the best things they said is what I would have said. But I'll just leave it with, if you're leaving this movie, it's a fully independent movie, like not only independently produced, but we're independently releasing it. So I think that's something I'd like people to consider when they leave. It's like, when we decide to go to movies or talk about movies, it allows them to exist, allows us to all continue to make independent movies. And as I'm sure many of you are filmmakers, we are talking about writers, like, how hard it is. And to have a movie that like maybe didn't get into the coolest festivals and maybe didn't get a distributor that wanted to put it out, but like sort of the punk rock spirit of the movie is how this movie is coming out. So I'd want people walking out the theater to go like, I'm gonna rate this on Letterboxd. Like I'm gonna like put this on my Instagram.
Not like just a rating, because if you're gonna do like a 0.5, just lie to yourself and everyone else and just give it a 1. Give it a 0.5.
So you all have your homework to go on your review logs. I could stay here and talk at length about this beautiful movie, and there's so many moments that I wanted to talk about. The wedding scene is the one that that's the moment that stays with me, that like moment of clear joy in this like a lot. But I just wanted to mention that, so that's also something that we take with us. But I wanted to thank you both for the movie and for this lovely conversation. So let's give them all.